I would have signed without knowing what was written in Russian, but the cleaner's daughter saved me. Michael Thompson held the pen with his hands sweating coldly as he stared at the document filled with Russian characters he couldn't make heads or tails of. His new international partner, Dmitry Sokolov, smiled from across the mahogany desk in his office, insisting it was just a standard import contract that would change his life forever. That's when a sharp voice shouted from the hallway, "Don't sign that, Mr. Thompson, you can't sign it." Little Emily, the 9-year-old daughter of Margaret, who cleaned the company offices, had come running into the elegant office on the 10th floor of the commercial building in downtown New York City. Her brown eyes were wide with desperation as she pointed at the papers on the desk. "Emily," Dmitry barked, his accent thick, "this is just a business meeting. Children shouldn't be here." Michael was confused. The girl had always been polite and well-behaved in the 3 years he'd known her. Margaret brought her to the office during school breaks when she had no one to leave her with, and Emily usually stayed quiet in the break room, drawing or reading comics. "Mr. Thompson," Emily said, breathing hard, "I understand what's written there. My grandma Natasha is Russian. She taught me to read a little. This isn't an import contract at all." Dmitry laughed nervously and waved his hands. "Child has big imagination. Document is standard, normal for international business. You sign now and we start working together today." "But Emily, sweetheart," Michael said, setting the pen down, "how can you be sure? There are so many pages. Because look here," she pointed to a line in the middle of the first page. "It talks about transferring property, not importing anything. And down here, it mentions a house, an apartment." Michael's heart raced. His company, Thompson Imports, had grown a lot over the last 10 years, and he did own a few properties besides the office. How could a 9-year-old know that if she didn't really understand what was written? Dmitry stood up abruptly. "This is ridiculous. I have a flight to Moscow in 3 hours. I can't waste time on a child's fantasies." "Emily, where's your mother?" Michael asked, trying to stay calm. "She's cleaning the bathroom on the 8th floor, but I ran down when I saw this man come in with those papers. I recognized Russian from far away." Margaret appeared at the office door, panting, her face red with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Thompson." "Emily, girl, how dare you interrupt an important meeting?" "Don't worry, Margaret," Michael said. "Actually, I'm starting to get curious about what Emily has to say." Dmitry slammed his fist on the desk. "This is a waste of time. Important business can't wait for a child's whims. Do you want to make a fortune or not, Michael?" "Mum," Emily whispered to Margaret, "tell him Grandma Natasha always said to be careful with Russian documents, that people there played a lot of tricks." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. Michael felt a chill in his stomach. Mrs. Natasha, Margaret's mother, had come from Russia as a young woman in the 1970s and always told stories about how she had to be sharp to avoid being fooled. He himself had spoken with her a few times during the company's end-of-year parties. "Dmitry," Michael said, crossing his arms, "if it's really a standard contract, there's no problem with me getting an official translation before signing, right?" "There's no time!" Dmitry snapped, his eyes flashing. "Once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you don't sign now, the deal is off." Russian market is very competitive. It doesn't wait for indecisive Americans. Emily approached the table and pointed to a specific word. "Oh, Mr. Thompson, here it says polnaya peredasha, which means complete transfer." Grandma Natasha always used that word when she talked about people who lost everything back in Russia. Silence filled the office. Michael looked at Dmitry, who was visibly nervous, sweating and fidgeting with his hands. Then he turned to Emily with her sincere, worried eyes. "Margaret, is your mother in good health?" Michael asked. "Yes, Mr. Thompson, thank God." "Why do you ask?" "Then could she come here tomorrow to take a look at these documents?" Dmitry exploded. "Tomorrow I'll already be in Moscow, missed opportunity. You'll regret this for the rest of your life, Michael Thompson." "Calm down, Dmitry. If it's such a good deal, surely you can reschedule your flight for one more day, can't you?" "I can't. There are other American businessmen interested. If you don't want to be a partner, they do." Emily tugged at her mother's blouse. "Mom, ask Mr. Thompson if he knows his name is written here on the paper, along with his home address." Michael froze. He had never given his home address to Dimitri. They had always met at the office or restaurants to discuss business. "What do you mean, Emily?" "It's right here, Michael Anthony Thompson, and the address in Greenwich Village where you live." "How does he know where you live if you never told him?" Dimitri tried to snatch the paper from Emily's hands, but Margaret instinctively shielded her daughter. "Don't touch my child," Margaret said with a firmness Michael had never seen in her before. "It's public information," Dimitri shouted. "Anyone can find a businessman's address." Michael was starting to sweat. True, his address wasn't a state secret, but the fact that Dimitri had included it in the document without mentioning it was, at the very least, strange. "Emily, did anything else catch your attention in this document?" The girl carefully flipped through the pages, running her finger over the Cyrillic lines. "Here on page 3, there's a part about deti and vnuki, which means children and grandchildren, and it says something about them being responsible for something." Michael's world collapsed. He had 2 children, Jason, 16, and Ashley, 14, from his marriage to Jennifer. The thought that his kids might be involved in something without his knowledge made him tremble with anger. "Dimitri, I want an explanation, now." "They're just standard international liability clauses. Every Russian contract has them." Emily kept reading, and her eyes widened even more. "Mr. Thompson, here it talks about school too. Your children's school name is here." "That's impossible." Michael stood up abruptly. "I never mentioned where my kids go to school." Dimitri was visibly desperate now. "It was basic research. Any serious partner researches their associates." "Emily," Margaret said, also frightened, "are you sure you're reading it right, sweetheart?" "Yes, Mum. Grandma Natasha taught me well." "Look here. Shkola means school, and here it says St. Mary's Academy, where Mr. Thompson's kids go." Michael's heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. St. Mary's Academy was a small, discreet private school in Greenwich Village. How did Dimitri know all these details? "Enough!" Michael shouted. "I'm not signing anything until I fully understand what's written here." "You're making a huge mistake, Michael." Dimitri pointed a finger at him. "You're throwing away the opportunity of a lifetime because of some ignorant child." "Hey!" Margaret stepped forward. "Don't talk about my daughter like that. She's smarter than most adults out there." Dimitri grabbed his cell phone and pretended to dial a number. "I'm calling the other businessmen. I'll offer them the opportunity instead." "Emily," said Michael, completely ignoring Dimitri, "can you read anything else important there?" The girl turned a few pages and stopped at a section near the end of the document. "Here's a part about the bank, Mr. Thompson. It talks about transferring money and—" She paused, focusing on the words. "About a power of attorney that you're giving him." "Power of attorney for what?" "For him to manage your account, to sell your things, to make decisions about the company." Michael felt as if he'd been punched in the gut. A broad power of attorney would mean Dimitri would have total control over all his assets. "Dimitri, this meeting is over. I want you out of my office right now. You don't understand the gravity of the situation." Dimitri was nearly hysterical. "My father knew your father, Michael. There was a debt between our families. This contract is a way to settle matters from the past." Michael stopped. His father, Anthony Thompson, had passed away 5 years ago, leaving the company to him. He had never mentioned any debts or problems with Russians. "What debt? My father never told me anything about this. Your father stole a business idea from my father in 1985. He promised a partnership, but then cut off contact and kept everything for himself." Emily looked at her mother and whispered, "Mum, Grandpa Anthony wasn't like that, was he?" Margaret spoke up. "Emily's right, Mr. Thompson. Your father was my first boss when I came here from Pennsylvania 20 years ago, the most honest man I've ever known. I never saw him cheat anyone." "You know nothing." Dimitri was losing control completely. "This was business between men, not a matter for women and children." "Listen to how he talks about women, Mom," said Emily, indignant. "Grandma Natasha always said a man who disrespects women is worthless." Michael looked at Dimitri with new eyes. During their 3 months of meetings and conversations, the Russian had always been polite and kind. Now he was showing his true face. "Emily, is there anything else important in that document?" She flipped to the last page, and her face went pale. "Mr. Thompson, it mentions a fund. It looks like money you set aside to help employees." Michael's heart stopped. He did indeed maintain a special fund to assist employees in need. Very few people knew about it. Even his wife wasn't fully aware of the details. "How did you know about the employee fund, Dmitry?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Emily just read it in the document. How did you get this information?" Margaret covered her mouth with her hands. "Mr. Thompson, that's the money you used to pay for my mother's treatment when she had pneumonia last year. And it's the money he used to help Walter the doorman when his son needed surgery," Emily added. Dmitry was cornered. Anyone could find out this information by investigating the company. "No, Dmitry. This fund is secret. I manage it myself. It doesn't go through official accounting. Only I and my secretary know it exists." Just then, there was a knock at the office door. It was Barbara, Michael's secretary of 15 years, a woman in her early 60s with graying hair and sharp eyes. "Mr. Thompson, sorry to interrupt, but I need to speak with you about something important." "Go ahead, Barbara." "It's about Mr. Dmitry here. Last night he came to the office, said you had given him permission to review some documents." Michael and Dmitry exchanged glances. "I never gave him any permission, Barbara." "That's what I thought was strange, but he had a copy of the office key. He was here until almost midnight going through the files. How did he get a copy of the key?" "I don't know, Mr. Thompson, but when I came in this morning, I found drawers open and papers out of place." Emily clapped her hands. "That's how he knew everything. He went through your documents, sir. Dmitry tried to leave the office, but Michael blocked the door." "Not so fast, Dmitry. Before you go, I want you to explain how you got a copy of the key." "I don't owe you any explanations. I'm leaving now." Barbara cleared her throat. "Mr. Thompson, there's one more thing. Yesterday, I forgot my purse here and came back around 9 at night. I saw Mr. Dmitry talking to Robert from finance in the parking lot. Michael's blood ran cold. Robert Williams was the company's financial manager, hired 6 months ago. He had access to privileged information about Michael's finances and personal assets. Barbara, did you hear their conversation?" "Not all of it, but I heard Robert mention bank accounts and properties. It seemed odd at the time, but I thought it was work-related." Emily tugged at Michael's suit sleeve. "Mr. Thompson, do you think Robert helped this bad man?" "I don't know, Emily, but we'll find out." Dmitry was completely exposed now, but played one last card. "Michael, you're making a terrible mistake. My father really did know your father. There was an agreement between them. If there was an agreement, why didn't you come to me directly after my father passed? Why all this drama with a Russian document and pressure to sign today?" Because, Dmitry stammered. Margaret stepped forward. "Mr. Thompson, can I say something?" "Of course, Margaret. Your father hired me in 2005. In the first few months, I cleaned his office, and he always left important papers on his desk. I never saw anything about partnerships with Russians or international debts." "An ignorant woman knows nothing about business," Dmitry shouted. "Hey!" Emily stepped in front of her mother. "Don't talk to my mom like that. She's smarter than you." Michael smiled for the first time all morning. "Emily's right. Margaret knew my father very well and has always been an exemplary employee." Barbara pulled a folder from under her arm. "Mr. Thompson, since we're talking about your father, I found some old letters of his yesterday while organizing the files." "What kind of letters?" "Personal ones he wrote but never sent. One of them is about foreign scammers trying to defraud American businessmen. The world stopped for Michael." "Barbara, can you read that letter?" "Of course. It's dated March 2018, 2 years before your father passed." Barbara carefully opened the letter and began reading. "My dear son Michael, if you're reading this letter, it means something has happened to me, and I need to warn you about dangers I've uncovered in the business world." Everyone in the office fell completely silent. "Go on, Barbara." "A few months ago, I was approached by a Russian man named Dmitry Sokolov, who claimed to have rights to our company due to a supposed partnership that never existed. He presented fake documents and tried to convince me to sign a power of attorney. Thankfully, I uncovered the fraud in time. but I fear he may try something similar in the future. Dmitri tried to bolt, but Michael grabbed his arm. Does the letter go on? Yes. Michael, if this man ever appears in your life, be careful. He's very convincing and has accomplices. Investigate everything before signing any documents. Trust the right people around you, especially those you least expect to help. Emily began to cry. Grandpa Anthony knew this man was dangerous. There's more, Mr. Thompson, Barbara continued. P.S. Margaret is an exceptional employee and a devoted mother. Her daughter Emily is a very bright child. Always value the good people who work with you, because they may be your salvation in difficult times. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. The office was filled with deep emotion. Michael looked at Emily and Margaret with an affection he had never felt before. His father, even after passing, was still protecting his family. Dmitri, now I understand everything. You did know my father, but as a con man who tried to cheat him, this proves nothing. Dmitri was desperate. Emily approached the desk and picked up the Russian document. Mr. Thompson, may I show you one more thing? Of course, Emily. Here on the last page, there's a date. It says this contract was prepared 6 months ago, right when Robert started working here. Michael felt all the puzzle pieces falling into place. Robert had been hired specifically to access financial information. Dmitri had planned this scam for months. Barbara, can you call Robert here, please? I already tried, Mr. Thompson. He didn't come to work today. He sent a message saying he was sick. What day of the week is it? Monday. And Dmitri said he has a flight today. Barbara, can you check if there are really flights to Moscow today? Barbara picked up the phone and called a travel agency she knew. After a few minutes, she hung up with a serious expression. There's no direct flight to Moscow today, Mr. Thompson. The next one isn't until Thursday. Dmitri was completely exposed. He could no longer keep up the act. Emily stepped closer to him. Why did you want to steal Mr. Thompson's money? He's a good person who helps everyone. I wasn't stealing. It was a legitimate deal. Legitimate deals don't require deception, Margaret said firmly. Michael sat in his chair, still processing everything that had happened. Emily, if you hadn't come in here today... I don't even want to think about that, Mr. Thompson. Grandma Natasha always said that when you see someone in need, you have to step up. Barbara put the letters back in the folder. Mr. Thompson, what are we going to do about all this? First, Dmitri is leaving right now and will never set foot in our company again. Second, we'll talk to Robert to hear his side of the story. Dmitri headed for the door but stopped and turned around. Michael, you don't know who you're dealing with. This isn't over. Emily stepped between Dmitri and Michael. You won't do anything to Mr. Thompson. We're not afraid of bad men. Emily, let me handle this, Michael said, but he was moved by the girl's courage. No, Mr. Thompson, this man is threatening you. My mum taught me that when someone threatens a good person, we have to protect them. Dmitri stormed out, slamming the door. The silence that followed was broken by Margaret. Mr. Thompson, I'm so sorry for all this trouble. Emily had no right to barge into your meeting like that. Margaret, on the contrary, Emily saved me from losing everything I've built in my life. How can I thank you both? There's no need to thank us, Mr. Thompson. You've always been good to our family. Emily tugged at her mother's skirt. Mom, tell Mr. Thompson that Grandma Natasha wants to meet him. It's true, Mr. Thompson. My mother always asks about you. She says she wants to thank you in person for everything you've done for us. Michael smiled. It would be an honor to meet Mrs. Natasha in person. How about we have lunch together on Sunday? Really, Mr. Thompson? Really? And Emily, can you bring one of your grandmother's Russian books? I want to learn at least some basic words to protect myself in the future. The girl clapped her hands in delight. Of course! Grandma Natasha will be so happy. Barbara interrupted the moment. Mr. Thompson, we still have the issue with Robert. What should we do? Let's go to his house right now. I want to hear his side in person. Can I come too? Asked Emily. Emily, you've already done enough for today, said Margaret. But Mom, what if Robert speaks Russian too? I can help. Michael laughed. Emily has a point. But first let's call him. Barbara dialed Robert's number. After a few rings, he answered weakly. Hello, Barbara? Robert, it's Michael. I need to talk to you urgently. Mr. Thompson, what happened? I'm sick, I can't come to work today. Robert, Dmitry Sokolov was here today trying to get me to sign a document. Do you know him? The silence on the other end was telling. Robert, I can explain, Mr. Thompson. Then explain. Not over the phone. Can I come to the office? Of course, we'll be waiting. While they waited for Robert, Michael took the chance to talk more with Emily about how she learned Russian. Emily, how long have you been able to read Russian? Since I was little, Mr. Thompson. Grandma Natasha always said it was important for me to know where our family came from. She taught me to speak first, then to read. You're very smart, you know. Grandma always says we should use our intelligence to help people, not hurt them. Margaret got emotional. My mother raised Emily with those values, Mr. Thompson. She always taught that it doesn't matter if someone is rich or poor. If they're good, we should help. Barbara stepped closer. Mr. Thompson, can I say something? Of course, Barbara. In 15 years working here, I've never seen you as close to the employees as you are today. It's nice to see this change. Michael reflected on Barbara's words. It was true he had always kept a professional distance, focused only on business and results. Barbara, do you think I'm too distant from the employees? Not distant, Mr. Thompson, but always focused on work. Today was the first time I've seen you really getting to know the people who work here. Emily approached. Mr. Thompson, can I ask you something? Of course, Emily. Why didn't you ever talk to us before? We always saw you rushing through the halls. The innocent question hit Michael hard. He had been so focused on business that he hadn't paid attention to the people around him. You know, Emily, I think I was so worried about growing the company that I forgot to get to know the people who help me every day. But now you'll talk to us more? Yes, I will. In fact, how about we set aside time every week for me to talk with the employees? Margaret teared up. Really, Mr. Thompson? Really? I want to know each person here better, their stories, their families, their dreams. Barbara smiled. You'll be surprised by the stories our people have to tell. Just then, there was a knock at the door. It was Robert, his face pale and eyes red. Mr. Thompson, can I come in? Of course, Robert. Have a seat. Robert looked at Emily and Margaret with confusion. Are they staying for the meeting? Yes. Emily was the one who uncovered Dmitry's scheme, and Margaret is someone I trust. Robert sank heavily into the chair. Mr. Thompson, I need to tell you everything. I'm listening. Dmitry approached me 7 months ago before I even started working here. He said he was your partner and needed some information to close a deal. And you believed him? Yes, I did. He showed me pictures of him with you, had a company card, knew details about the business. Emily spoke up. But if he was really your partner, why would he need that information from you? Robert looked at the girl, impressed. That's a good question. I should have thought of that. Go on, Robert, said Michael. He offered me a very large sum to get access to the financial records. My wife is pregnant, Mr. Thompson, and we need money for the private delivery. Margaret softened. How far along is your wife, Robert? 8 months, it's our first daughter. And why didn't you talk to me about the financial difficulties? Asked Michael. Because I was ashamed, Mr. Thompson. I'm a man, I should be able to support my family on my own. Emily stepped closer to Robert. My dad also struggled when I was born. Mom says you men get embarrassed to ask for help, but there's nothing wrong with it. Emily's right, Robert. If you had come to me, we would have found a solution together. Robert started crying. Mr. Thompson, I feel terrible. Dmitry said it was just some information to smooth the partnership, that it wouldn't hurt anyone. Robert, Dmitry tried to get me to sign a document that would transfer all my assets to him, including the company where you work. What do you mean? Emily showed Robert the document. Look, it's all here. If Mr. Thompson had signed, the company would have become his and everyone would have lost their jobs. Robert turned pale. My God, what have I done? Robert, said Michael, you were tricked. Dmitry is a professional scammer. He knew exactly how to convince you. But Mr. Thompson, I broke your trust. How can I keep working here? Margaret spoke up. Robert, everyone makes mistakes. What matters is admitting it and wanting to make things right. Margaret's right, Michael agreed. Robert, you have a family to support, and you've always been a good employee. We'll handle this together. How, Mr. Thompson? First, you'll give me all the information about Dimitri. Second, we'll review your salary so you won't struggle financially anymore. Robert couldn't believe what he was hearing. But Mr. Thompson, I betrayed you. No, Robert. You were fooled by an experienced criminal. There's a difference. Emily clapped her hands. See, Robert, Mr. Thompson is a good man. He doesn't abandon anyone. Barbara stepped closer. Robert, what else can you tell us about Dimitri? He has a rented apartment in Soho. He gave me the address in case I needed to reach him urgently. Do you have that address? Yes, I do. And there's one more thing. He mentioned other American businessmen he's targeting. Michael was alarmed. Which businessmen? He named 3, Richard Johnson from Johnson Textiles, Samantha Brown from Brown Logistics, and George Miller from Miller Construction. I know all of them. They're serious business people. They've been in the industry for decades. Emily tugged Michael's sleeve. Mr. Thompson, we can't let this bad man hurt other people. Emily's right. We'll warn them all immediately. Barbara already had her phone out. Mr. Thompson, should I call them now? Yes, Barbara. And Robert, you'll help me explain how Dimitri operates. While Barbara made the calls, Michael thought about how this situation had completely changed his perspective on workplace relationships. Margaret, can I ask you a personal question? Of course, Mr. Thompson. Have you ever thought about taking a course, learning something new? I have, but I don't have the time or money for it. Emily got excited. Mom always wanted to take computer classes. She says she wants to learn how to use a computer to help more at work. How about the company paying for that course, and you taking it during work hours? Margaret was moved. Really, Mr. Thompson? Really? And Emily, how about you teaching Russian to the company employees? The girl beamed. I can really do that. Of course. I'm going to create a language program here at the company, and you'll be our first teacher. Robert spoke up. Mr. Thompson, can I join the classes? I've always wanted to learn a new language. Of course you can, Robert. In fact, how about you help manage this program? It could be an additional task alongside your financial duties. Barbara hung up the phone. Mr. Thompson, I spoke to everyone. Richard Johnson said he's known a Dimitri for 2 weeks but hasn't closed any deals yet. Samantha Brown doesn't know any Russians. And George Miller said he has a meeting scheduled with a Dimitri tomorrow. We have to warn George immediately. I already did, Mr. Thompson. He cancelled the meeting and was very grateful for the heads up. Emily clapped her hands. We saved another person. That's right, Emily. You didn't just save me, but other families too. Margaret hugged her daughter. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Mom, Grandma Natasha always said that when we do good, good comes back to us. Michael reflected on the girl's words. In just a few hours, his life had completely changed. Not only had he escaped a devastating scam, but he'd also discovered incredible people around him. Everyone, how about we grab a snack? All this excitement has made me hungry. Great idea, Mr. Thompson, said Barbara. I'll order pizzas for everyone. Pizza! Shouted Emily, excited. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. While waiting for the pizzas to arrive, Michael took the opportunity to learn more about Margaret and Emily's story. Margaret, how long have you lived in New York City? 22 years, Mr. Thompson. I came from a small town in Pennsylvania when Emily was still in my belly. And Emily's father? He didn't take responsibility, Mr. Thompson. He disappeared as soon as he found out I was pregnant. Emily stepped closer. But it's okay, Mr. Thompson. Mom, Grandma Natasha and I are a complete family. Do you all live together? Yes, said Margaret. We live in a small 2-bedroom apartment in Queens. My mother helps take care of Emily when I'm at work. And does Mrs. Natasha work? She's retired now, Mr. Thompson. She worked many years as a seamstress. She still does some sewing at home to supplement her pension. Robert was intrigued by the story. What kind of things does Mrs. Natasha sew? A little bit of everything, replied Emily. She alters clothes, makes adjustments, fixes things that are torn. She's really good at what she does. Michael had an idea. Margaret, do you think Mrs. Natasha would like to work here at the company? What do you mean, Mr. Thompson? We could create a uniforms department. She could take care of employee uniforms, adjustments, repairs, updates. Margaret got emotional. My mother would love that. She always says she misses having co-workers. Then it's settled. Tomorrow we'll talk to her about this opportunity. Emily hugged Michael. Mr. Thompson, you're making our family so happy. You're the ones making me happy, Emily. It's been a long time since I felt this good about life. Barbara watched the scene fondly. Mr. Thompson, can I make a suggestion? Of course, Barbara. How about we create a program where employees can bring suggestions for company improvements? Sometimes those on the front lines have valuable insights. Excellent idea. Robert, can you structure this program? Absolutely, Mr. Thompson. It could be a physical suggestion box and an online system. Emily raised her hand. Can I give the first suggestion? Of course, Emily, what is it? How about having a break area with books and comics? Sometimes we need to relax a little during work. Great suggestion. We'll create a reading nook in the office. Margaret spoke up. Can I suggest something too? Of course. How about we create a garden in the outdoor area? We could plant herbs and use them in the company kitchen. I know how to take care of plants. Love the idea. Let's create a corporate garden. Robert was watching a new culture forming in the company. Mr. Thompson, I've never seen a work environment as collaborative as it's becoming now. It's just that I never gave you all the chance to express yourselves before, Robert. Today I learned that the best ideas can come from anyone. Barbara brought the pizzas and everyone gathered in the meeting room to eat together. It was the first time in 15 years of running the company that Michael had a meal with employees. Mr. Thompson, said Emily, eating her slice of pizza, can I tell you a secret? Of course, Emily. Sometimes when I came here with Mom, I felt sorry for you. Sorry for me? Why? Because you always seemed sad and lonely. You stayed locked in your office, never talking to anyone. Emily's words deeply touched Michael. It was true that he had isolated himself in recent years, focused only on work. Emily, you're right. I was sad and lonely. But today that changed. How so, Mr. Thompson? Today I discovered I have a family here at the company, people who care about me and whom I care about. Margaret got emotional. Mr. Thompson, you've always been like a father to us. Ever since I started working here, you've treated me with respect and dignity. And I never knew how to show how important you all are to me. That's going to change starting today. Robert raised his soda can. How about we make a toast to the day that changed our lives? Everyone raised their drinks. Cheers, Emily laughed. Cheers. And thank you, Grandpa Anthony, for writing that letter. The group laughed at the girl's spontaneity, but Michael was moved. It really seemed like his father had orchestrated all of this to protect him and teach him an important lesson about valuing people. Barbara, could you frame that letter from my father? I want to hang it on the office wall. Of course, Mr. Thompson. It's a beautiful tribute to your father and an important reminder for all of us. And Emily, would you like to keep the Russian document as a memento? Really? I can? Of course. You can show Grandma Natasha as proof that her teachings saved an entire family. Emily carefully placed the document in her school bag. Grandma Natasha will be so proud. The rest of the afternoon flew by as the group planned the changes they'd implement in the company. Michael discovered his employees had amazing ideas and that he'd been wasting so much potential by not listening to them. At the end of the day, as everyone prepared to leave, Michael called Emily aside for a private talk. Emily, I want to thank you again for everything you did today. No need to thank me, Mr. Thompson. It was what had to be done. But I want to repay you somehow. What would you like most? Emily thought for a moment. Mr. Thompson, can I ask for something a little weird? Of course. Ask for anything. I'd like you to be our friend. For real. Not just Mom's boss, but a friend to our family. Michael was deeply moved. Emily, it would be an honor to be your friend. Then it's settled. And will you come over for dinner on Sunday? Grandma Natasha is dying to meet you. I will, Emily, and I'll bring my wife and kids to meet you all too. Really? Will your kids want to be my friends? I'm sure they will, and maybe you can teach them Russian too. The girl clapped her hands in joy. It's going to be so much fun. Margaret approached. Mr. Thompson, thank you so much for everything. You changed our lives today. Margaret, you all changed mine. I discovered that work can be so much more than just business. It can be a family. Robert also said his goodbyes. Mr. Thompson, thank you so much for the second chance. I'll work hard to earn back your trust. Robert, you don't need to earn anything back. You already have my trust. And next week, we'll talk about your new salary and benefits for your family. Thank you so much, Mr. Thompson. My wife won't believe it when I tell her this story. Barbara was the last to leave. Mr. Thompson, in 15 years working here, today was the best day. Seeing you so happy is truly rewarding. Barbara, tomorrow I want you to organize a meeting with all the employees. We'll present the changes we've decided to implement and hear other suggestions. It'll be my pleasure, Mr. Thompson. When everyone had left, Michael was alone in the office, reflecting on everything that had happened. He looked out the window and saw Emily and Margaret walking down the sidewalk, chatting animatedly. He picked up the phone and called his wife, Jennifer. Hi, honey, how was your day? Jennifer, you won't believe what happened today. I almost lost everything we have, but I was saved by the cleaning lady's daughter. What do you mean, Michael? Michael told his wife the whole story, from the attempted scam to the changes he decided to make in the company. Wow, Michael, I'm so glad you found out in time, and that Emily is such a clever girl. Jennifer, invite her family to dinner with us on Sunday. I want you and the kids to meet these amazing people. Of course, honey. It'll be a pleasure to meet them. And there's one more thing. I think I'm going to change how I work. I want to spend more time at home, more time with you all. Really, Michael, really. Today I learned that life is so much more than work and money. It's about the people we love and who love us. I'm so happy to hear that, honey. The kids will be thrilled. After hanging up, Michael picked up the family photo on his desk and smiled. For the first time in years, he felt his life had a greater purpose than just accumulating wealth. The next day, he arrived early at the office and found Emily waiting in the reception area with a book under her arm. Emily, what are you doing here so early? I brought a book from Grandma Natasha for you, Mr. Thompson. It's a very old Russian-English dictionary she brought from Russia. How kind. Thank you. And there's one more thing. Grandma Natasha cried all night with emotion when I told her what happened. She said she never imagined her teachings would save an American family. Your grandmother is a very wise woman, Emily. She's preparing a special Russian dish for dinner on Sunday. Borscht, a delicious beet soup. I can't wait to try it. Margaret arrived shortly after, accompanied by an elderly woman with white hair and very lively blue eyes. Mr. Thompson, this is my mother, Natasha Sokolov. Natasha Smith. She married my American father and took his last name. Michael was surprised. Smith? So you're not related to Dmitri at all? Not at all, said Margaret. My mother is Natasha Smith, not Sokolov. It's just a coincidence with the last name. Mrs. Natasha stepped forward and took Michael's hands. Mr. Thompson, thank you so much for taking such good care of my family. Mrs. Natasha, I'm the one who should be thanking you. Emily saved me from a disaster. Emily is a very special girl. Since she was little, she's had a big heart and a sharp mind. Would you like to see the company? I have a job offer for you, Mrs. Natasha's eyes sparkled. A job? At my age? You're not retirement age yet. I need someone experienced to take care of the company's uniforms and clothing. It would be an honor, Mr. Thompson. Emily clapped her hands. Now our whole family works here. The meeting with all the employees was a success. Michael presented the changes and was impressed by the number of suggestions he received. They formed committees to implement each idea and set up monthly meetings to track progress. A week later, the company was unrecognizable. There were plants everywhere, a cozy reading area, bulletin boards with employee suggestions, and a much warmer, family-like atmosphere. Emily had started Russian classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays and already had 10 interested students. Robert was coordinating the suggestion program and had implemented several operational improvements. Margaret was taking computer classes and helping more and more with administrative tasks. Mrs. Natasha had redesigned all the uniforms and created a maintenance system that was saving the company money. The Sunday dinner arrived, and Michael took the whole family to visit Margaret's home. It was a simple but very cozy apartment, full of photos and keepsakes. Mrs. Natasha prepared a full Russian feast with borscht, pelmeni and blini. Michael's children, Jason and Ashley, were fascinated by Emily and her stories about Russia. "Emily," said Ashley, "can you teach me Russian too?" "Of course I can teach you at home on weekends, and that's so cool. We'll have a private tutor." Jason was intrigued by Mrs. Natasha's stories about immigration. "Mrs. Natasha, it must have been really hard to leave your home country." "It was, my dear, but America gave me a new family, new opportunities, a new life. I don't regret it." Jennifer was charmed by Margaret. "Margaret, Michael told me you're taking computer classes. How's it going?" "It's great, Mrs. Jennifer. I never thought I'd learn to use a computer at my age." "How old are you?" 42. "You're in the prime of life. It's never too late to learn new things." Michael watched the gathering with a heart full of gratitude. His family and Margaret's were connecting naturally and genuinely. After dinner, while the children played and the women chatted in the kitchen, Michael sat with Mrs. Natasha on the apartment balcony. "Mrs. Natasha, can I ask you something?" "Of course, Mr. Thompson." "How did you raise such a special family? Margaret and Emily are incredible people." Mrs. Natasha smiled. "Mr. Thompson, the secret is teaching values early. Kindness, honesty, the courage to do what's right, even when it's hard. Do you think you succeeded in passing those values to them?" "I believe so. And now they're passing them forward. Emily will teach your children much more than Russian. She'll teach them how to be good people." "I'm sure of that. And you're learning too, aren't you?" Michael laughed. "I am. I've learned that success in life isn't just about money and business. It's about the people we love and who love us." "Exactly. And it's never too late to learn that." As the evening came to an end, the two families said goodbye with promises of more gatherings. Michael realized he had gained much more than loyal employees. He had gained a second family. In the following months, Thompson Imports became a benchmark for a humanized work environment. Michael implemented innovative employee appreciation policies, created personal and professional development programs, and established a culture based on mutual respect and collaboration. Emily became the company's most beloved Russian teacher, instructing not just in the language, but also about Russian culture and the importance of preserving family traditions. Her students ranged from executives to janitorial staff, all united by their desire to learn. Margaret graduated from the computer course with the highest grades in her class and was promoted to administrative assistant, helping Michael with the daily management of the company. Her hands-on experience and deep understanding of the employees made her a natural and respected leader. Mrs. Natasha turned the uniforms department into a small in-house workshop, not only keeping work clothes impeccable, but also creating custom pieces for special company events. Her traditional Russian embroidery became the company's trademark. Robert fully regained Michael's trust and became one of the company's most capable managers. His experience with Dmitri's scam turned him into an in-house security consultant, helping identify potential fraud and protecting the company from future schemes. The Employee Suggestion Program revolutionized the company's operations. Ideas from all levels of the hierarchy resulted in cost savings, process improvements, and innovations that significantly increased market competitiveness. The corporate garden created by Margaret became a space for relaxation and bonding, where employees grew not just herbs and vegetables, but also closer, more collaborative relationships. 6 months after the incident with Dmitri, Michael received a call from the Financial Crimes Division. The con artist had been arrested, trying to pull the same scam on businessmen in other cities, using documents similar to the one Michael almost signed. "Mr. Thompson, we'd like you to give a statement about the attempted scam you experienced," said the detective. "Of course I can come in today." "And would it be possible to bring the girl who identified the fraud?" Her testimony could be crucial for convicting the criminal. Michael smiled. I'll bring Emily for sure. I'm certain she'll be happy to help. On the way to the police station, Emily was excited about the chance to help justice. Mr. Thompson, do you think other kids will learn to read different languages because of our story? I'm sure they will, Emily. Your courage will inspire many children to study and prepare to help others. That's so cool. Grandma Natasha always says that when we do something good, it spreads across the world. Emily's testimony was impressive. She explained in detail how she identified the fraudulent clauses in the document, demonstrated her knowledge of Russian, and shared how her grandmother had taught her the importance of protecting good people from scammers. The detective was amazed. Emily, you have exceptional intelligence. Have you ever thought about becoming an official translator when you grow up? Yes, I want to work helping people just like I helped you, Mr. Thompson. You'll definitely be an excellent professional. After the testimony, Michael took Emily out for ice cream and they talked about her future plans. Emily, what do you want most when you grow up? I want to be a translator, but I also want to have a company like yours, where people work happily and help each other. What a beautiful dream. And you know you can count on me to help you achieve it, right? I do, Mr. Thompson. But first, I need to study hard to be well prepared. Exactly. How about we start planning your education? I can help you choose the best schools and courses. Emily's eyes sparkled. Really, Mr. Thompson? Really. You saved my company. Now I want to help build your future. That night, Michael talked to Jennifer about creating a scholarship for Emily and other employees' children who showed talent and dedication. Michael, I think it's a wonderful idea. We could set up a permanent educational fund at the company. Exactly, and Emily could be our first beneficiary and example for other children. She'll be so happy. The next day, Michael called a special meeting with all employees to make an important announcement. Everyone, I want to share a decision I've made. We're creating the Thompson Imports Educational Fund, dedicated to supporting the education of our employees' children. A murmur of excitement spread through the room. Emily Smith will be our first scholarship recipient, receiving full support for her studies from elementary school through college, including language courses and international exchange programs. Emily began to cry with emotion and was comforted by Margaret and Mrs. Natasha. But Emily won't be the only one. Every year, we'll select new scholars based on academic merit, dedication to studies, and growth potential. The applause was heartfelt. Michael realized he had created something that went beyond a simple company. He had built a community committed to mutual growth. Barbara approached the microphone. Mr. Thompson, on behalf of all the employees, we want to thank you for this incredible opportunity. You're not just changing our lives, but the future of our children. Barbara, you all changed my life first. I'm just returning the kindness and dedication I receive from you every day. Margaret raised her hand. Can I say something, Mr. Thompson? Of course, Margaret. When I started working here 20 years ago, I never imagined my daughter would be treated like family by the boss. You're proof that good people still exist in this world. Emily stepped up to the microphone, still emotional. I want to say something to everyone. That day, I ran into Mr. Thompson's office. I was terrified. But Grandma Natasha always taught me that when we see injustice happening, we have to have the courage to do what's right. She paused to wipe away tears. Now I know I did the right thing. Not just to save Mr. Thompson, but to show that kids can make a difference in the world too. The applause was long and emotional. Mrs. Natasha stood up and waved proudly at everyone, beaming at her granddaughter. After the meeting, Michael gathered his administrative family, Emily, Margaret, Mrs. Natasha, Robert, and Barbara, to plan the company's next steps. Everyone, I want to discuss an idea I have. How about we create a consulting firm to help other companies develop more humane workplaces? How do you mean, Mr. Thompson? Robert asked. We can offer our expertise on participatory management, employee appreciation, and corporate educational programs. Emily could give talks about the importance of listening to all voices, regardless of age or position. Emily lit up. I could really give talks. Of course. Your story is inspiring. It could motivate many people to be brave and do the right thing. Margaret spoke up. Mr. Thompson, I think this consulting firm could help many working families like ours. Exactly, Margaret. And you'd all be my partners in this new venture, not just employees. Barbara smiled. Mr. Thompson, in 15 years working here, I never imagined I'd become a partner in a consulting firm. Life is full of good surprises, Barbara. And Emily, would you be our youngest consultant? I'd love to. But first I need to finish school. Of course. You'll study and prepare. And when you're ready, you'll have a guaranteed spot on our team. Mrs. Natasha, who had been quiet, finally spoke. Mr. Thompson, can I tell you something I've never told anyone? Of course, Mrs. Natasha. When I arrived in America in 1975, I was so afraid I wouldn't adapt. But an American businessman gave me my first job opportunity. He treated me with respect and dignity. The reason I'm called Smith today is because that man became like a father to me. She paused, overcome with emotion. Overcome. That man was your father, Anthony Thompson. He helped me bring my sister from Russia, helped me learn English, encouraged me to marry a good American man and start a family. Silence filled the room. Michael was shocked. Mrs. Natasha, my father never told me this story. Because he was a discreet man who did good without fanfare. When I found out Margaret was going to work for his son, I was so happy. I knew she'd be treated with the same kindness I received. Emily hugged her grandmother. That's why Grandma always spoke so highly of the Thompson family. Exactly, Emily. And that's why I taught you to read Russian. I was certain this knowledge would one day help the family that helped us so much. Michael was deeply moved. Mrs. Natasha, now I understand why I felt such a strong connection with you from the very beginning. It was my father protecting our family through yours. Your father was an angel in my life, Mr. Thompson. And today I see you're being an angel in so many people's lives. Margaret stood up and hugged Michael. Mr. Thompson, now our family is truly one family. It's true, Margaret. We're one big family united by the love, respect, and values my father and Mrs. Natasha taught us. Emily clapped her hands. So now can I call you Uncle Michael? Michael laughed emotionally. Of course, Emily. It would be an honor to be your Uncle Michael. The following months saw rapid growth for Thompson Imports. The human-centered management consulting became a nationwide success, with clients across America eager to learn about the company's revolutionary methods. Emily became the most sought-after young speaker in America, sharing her story in schools, universities, and business conferences. Her talks on the importance of listening to all voices inspired thousands to value relationships in both work and personal life. Margaret completed a business administration degree, sponsored by the company, and became HR manager, specializing in creating inclusive, collaborative workplaces. Mrs. Natasha expanded the uniforms department and created a corporate clothing line with Russian cultural elements, which became the company's trademark and a source of cultural pride for the entire community. Robert developed a fraud prevention system adopted by hundreds of American companies, becoming a national standard for corporate security. Barbara was promoted to operations director and began coordinating all consulting activities, using her vast experience to guide other companies in transforming their organizational cultures. 2 years after the incident with Dmitry, the company had tripled in size, not just in revenue, but in social impact. The educational scholarship program had already helped 50 families, with many former scholarship recipients returning to work at the company, creating a virtuous cycle of growth and development. On a sunny September morning, Michael was in his office preparing for another talk on human-centered management when Emily burst in, just like the day that changed their lives. Uncle Michael, I have amazing news. Calm down, Emily. What happened? I won a scholarship to study abroad in Russia. I'll get to see Grandma Natasha's homeland and study advanced Russian at Moscow University. Michael smiled emotionally. Emily, what wonderful news. When do you leave? Next year, when I turn 16. But I want you to come with me. Me? Yes, I want you to see Russia too, to better understand where our family came from. And who knows, maybe we can expand Thompson Imports there too. Michael laughed at the girl's ambition. Emily, you never stop surprising me. Of course I'll go with you. It'll be an incredible adventure. And Grandma Natasha said she still has relatives there. We can meet them and share our story. I can just imagine how proud they'll be to hear that a Russian-American girl saved an entire company with her knowledge of their language. Emily hugged Michael tightly. Uncle Michael, thank you for believing in me that day. Emily, thank you for having the courage to save me. You changed my life forever. And now we're going to change the lives of so many others. Michael looked out the office window and saw Margaret tending to the corporate garden, Mrs. Natasha teaching Russian embroidery to some employees, Robert training new hires, and Barbara organizing the consulting firm's next projects. He realized he had built more than just a successful business. He had created a community founded on love, respect, and mutual growth. And it all started with a brave girl who dared to shout, "Don't sign that," when she saw an injustice happening. Michael took the framed letter from his father off the wall and smiled. Thank you, Dad, for planting the seeds of this incredible future. And thank you for looking after the Natasha family, who ended up looking after ours too. Just then there was a knock at the door. It was Emily again, this time with a group of children. Uncle Michael, can I introduce my new Russian students? Of course, Emily. This is Kevin, Robert's son. This is Emma, Barbara's daughter. This is Daniel, the new accounting employee's son. And this is Olivia, the daughter of a consulting client who loved our story so much he asked for his daughter to learn Russian too. Michael greeted each child warmly. Welcome, everyone, to our Thompson family. Uncle Michael, can I tell them how it all began? Of course, Emily. Share our story. Emily turned to the children with the ease of a seasoned teacher. It all started when I saw a man trying to trick Uncle Michael with a document written in a language he didn't understand. I could have stayed quiet and pretended it wasn't my problem, but my grandma always taught me that when you can help someone, you should. The children listened intently. And then, Emily? Then I found the courage to speak the truth, even though I was just a kid talking to important adults. And I learned that age doesn't matter when you have knowledge and the courage to do what's right. Kevin, Robert's son, raised his hand. Emily, were you scared? Yes, very scared. But Grandma always said being brave isn't about not feeling fear. It's about doing the right thing, even when you're afraid. Emma asked, what if the adults hadn't believed you? Then I would have kept trying until I could prove I was right. When you know you're doing good, you can't give up. Michael watched proudly as Emily effortlessly became a natural educator, inspiring the children to be brave and make a difference. Kids, Michael said, want to know a secret? Yes, they all shouted. What Emily did that day didn't just save my company. It saved our family, it saved everyone's jobs, and it created amazing opportunities for hundreds of people. One single act of courage can change the whole world. Daniel asked, Uncle Michael, do you think we can change the world too? I'm certain of it, Daniel. Each of you has unique gifts and can make a difference in people's lives. The key is to study, prepare, and have the courage to act when opportunities come. Emily added, and always remember, it doesn't matter if you're a child, an adult, or elderly. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. When you have knowledge and good intentions, you can save anyone from any problem. The children left the room excited and full of dreams. Michael and Emily stayed behind, alone. Emily, I'm so proud of the person you're becoming. Thank you, Uncle Michael. But do you know what makes me happiest? What? Knowing that our story will inspire so many other children to study, prepare, and find the courage to help others. Just imagine how many businesses, how many families could be saved by brave kids like the ones who just left here. Michael smiled. Emily, you're right. Our story is just the beginning. We're raising a generation of brave, prepared young people who want to do good in the world. And the best part is, it all started with something so simple, a girl who could read Russian and had the courage to speak the truth. Michael hugged Emily with fatherly affection. Emily, you're not just my savior. You're my daily inspiration to be a better person. Uncle Michael, can I tell you one last secret? Of course, Emily. That day when I ran into your office, I wasn't sure I could convince you. But I remembered something Grandma Natasha always said. When you speak with a pure heart and truly want to help, people will always listen. Your grandmother is very wise, and she always said that one day, our family would be able to repay all the kindness we received from Grandpa Anthony. I think we did it, didn't we, Uncle Michael? Michael smiled with tears in his eyes. You did, Emily, and so much more. You've taught me that the real wealth in life is the good people we love and who love us back. So let's keep spreading that wealth around the world, right, Uncle Michael? Let's do it, Emily. Together, always together. And so, what began as an ordinary business day turned into a story of family, courage, and transformation, one that would continue to inspire people for generations. Thompson Imports was no longer just a company. It had become a symbol that when people come together for the common good, there's no limit to what they can achieve together. The end. Now tell me what you thought of this story and where you're watching from. Have you ever been in a situation where you needed courage to help someone? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We love reading them. Don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel.